Okay, everyone, welcome. Thank you for attending our session today on managed WLAN and managed LAN services presented by Step CG. I'm just going to do a quick overview. If you have any questions and you're out in the YouTube land, over on the right hand side, we have a live chat going. If you have any questions, please feel free to pop them in. I will relay them on to Keith, and he should be able to address them for you. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Keith.
Hello, everyone. Keith Temple with Step CG. Try to lead the engineers over here. So I think I don't know if we'll take up the whole hour. Got quite a bit of information here, but do use the chat window if you want to speed up, slow down, have questions or whatever. But we're going to focus on the managed wireless and managed LAN. Presenting that today, right? So it's a service we've used in the past. We've called it other names in the past. We've already had school districts file for it successfully through E-rate. But we've got some additional services and features wrapped around it for 2020 for this E-rate funding year. So I've got a few kind of when, what, where, who, how type slides real quick to kind of overview. We'll see how technical you get, trying not to get too technical, but I think we kind of see the network is getting heavy. It's a lot of burden on a lot of IT staffs, and we see this not only in K through 12 Kentucky, but outside of the state and even in colleges, universities, and even non-K-12, right? This network's got to be up. And I would challenge, I know my kids, I kind of pose this question to some of my kids and their friends, like if they could only pick two out of three, internet, air, or food, what two would they pick? They typically leave out food, right? So pretty important to them and the kids, the teachers, online testing. It's not necessarily what you know, but how resourceful you are in today's, information technology age, right? But this is kind of the why, right? Helping out the IT staffs, helping out the principals and the network and all that should just be taken for granted, wired or wireless, right? We'll get into some of the visibility and what ifs with some of the tools that we're using to deliver managed wireless and managed LAN, right? So managed wireless is managed WLAN, managed wireless, same thing, right? Managed LAN, technical term, local area network. So that's your wired network, right? Vast majority of people connect wirelessly today. So this is the win, right? So this is kind of a 2020 E-rate filing and beyond as well, but you kind of got this 2020 year, get your network fit in 2020, right? So this is a service, a managed service that is eligible under the Category 2 MIBS section, right? Is where this category falls. As far as the win, right? So it's basically if your wireless or your WLAN or your LAN doesn't work, pick up the phone, you call Step CG or email Step CG and say, hey, fix my wireless. That's what this is, right? So right now we're starting out with Monday through Friday, 7 to 6 Eastern time, with the help desk and all the support we have, right? Aligning very much with the school districts that are using this. And obviously it starts July 1 is the funding, the starting of the funding year. So this is the who, right? So today, Step CG and KEDC, very familiar. Got a lot of history with K through 12 in Kentucky, CATS. CATS is very phenomenal job with standardizing the network over the past 20, 25 years, I guess. So kind of maintaining that, but basically the customer, the school districts, think of it like bringing your own network, bringing your own gear to this service, and then having Step CG or KEDC with our own spin numbers to manage your wired or wireless network, right? So there's probably still a little sprinkling of Nortel and Enterasys gear out there, and then you have Avaya Extreme Networks, all sorts of different models, mix and matches of wireless and such. So I've always been a proponent of people over technology and, spending a little bit of money on engineering and services instead of buying a bigger, faster box, right? So maybe throwing some engineers and skill set at it instead of just a bigger, badder, faster box. So I guess a little bit of a nerd alert, tech speak here with the AAA, right? So this is kind of key to one of the tools that we're using to deliver the managed wireless. And that's AAA, which stands for Authenticate, Authorize, and Accounting, right? So that's Radius, and it's something, a lot of people talk about at a high level, but not in detail with kind of wanting to identify the students and staff, who's going through the network, what's on your network, right? I mean, not being invisible anymore, right? So if you had to take the tech speak out of it, I would equate it to, if you're in your home, you authenticate people when they come into your front door. You meet them, you shake their hand, you introduce yourself, so you've authenticated them, right? And then you authorize them to probably go in your kitchen or your living room, but they're not authorized to go in your bedroom or go through your medicine cabinet, right? So that's authorization. And then accounting is, all right, you keep track of them. Where are they, right? Are they going somewhere they're not supposed to? Or so that's accounting. If you were to kind of equate where it is in the AAA to kind of going through your house. And we'll get to that with the network engine, which is one of the tools we use to deliver managed wireless. We also have Step CG Dashboard, which we've had for a number of years, and that is the tool we use to deliver managed LAN. So that's the who. So the where, right? So obviously in Kentucky, we branch out well beyond Kentucky, up from Michigan down to Texas, Florida, the Carolinas, but a lot of the engineers and such are still based here in the Ohio Valley area, right? So Covington, Louisville, Georgetown, over to Midway and Mount Sterling and such. So, the where is, just a continued focus on KEDC and K through 12 in Kentucky and beyond, right? Even the universities and such, with the managed LAN and managed wireless. And we've had a good number of STLP students and graduates come through Step CG as interns, working as a OSI Layer 1 technician, racking and stacking, hanging APs, and they help us immensely, right? And teaching those guys kind of the ropes of installing and troubleshooting and maintaining, operating a lot of these networks that are out there, right? And then it's a managed wireless and wired solution from Step, and not only is it remote, but it's on-site as well, right? So no shortage of remote tools and features and functionality, right? With tools like Microsoft Teams and screen shares and, access over cellular, when it gets really bad, if there's also some sort of internet connectivity issues. So a lot of remote capabilities, but there are times when you can't fix issues and you have to be on site and you have to see it with your own eyes and you can fix it faster on site, right? So that's included with this managed wired and wireless under category 2 in the MIBS section, right? So this is the how, right? So I've been talking about managed wireless and managed LAN, right? So again, you can keep throwing technology at the problem, but we've had really good success about sprinkling some engineers, sprinkling some skill set, sprinkling some knowledge to make these wired and wireless solutions work a lot better. Honestly, there's a lot of check boxes to check, a lot of things to click, and such like that. Especially with wireless, right? A lot of people think radio frequency and wireless is a black art, but if you have the tools and there's all sorts of certification and knowledge, whether you learned it in a book or you learned it the hard way on the job. Just all right, got to learn on the job. Going through wireless and learning that where there's easy way or hard way, right? So those skill sets, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, right? Learning from other networks, learning from other people. It's not too different from working on a car, right? At least a car with a gasoline engine, a combustion engine, right? Everything, they typically got 4 wheels. They got 4 to 6 cylinders, and they all kind of have the same problem, right? Networks tend to have the same problems, very, very similar, right? So keeping that mindset in mind, keeping that in mind, using engineers to make these enterprise boxes, switches, routers, wireless access points, controllers, all work to their capabilities, right? All their features and functionality. So managed wireless, same deal with engineer skill sets, tools, but network engine is one of the key tools we use to deliver that. And we're going to show network engine, right? It's something that Step CG has kind of been introduced to and invited to as a solution. It's very impressive, something that we like and gets us to think outside of the box of all the capabilities we can do with the network now. And then managed LAN, right? So it's an either or it's an and. You manage LAN, same deal, but dashboard is something that we've built in-house with some open source software, and we're contributing back to that. Is a tool we use to manage the LAN, all the switches, APs, controllers. Think of it like a virtual engineer, and it does all that back-end stuff that we don't have time to do or don't want to do, like backup configs, give us charts and alerts and stuff like that, right? And we're going to touch on both those items, but and there's no shortage of staff in Kentucky beyond, right? Whether it's sales, engineering, or operations. And then with our help desk and knock, then help desk or knock to provide support and access. So we got the 800 number, we got the email, and then chat will be coming soon. But anytime you open a ticket via email, it's opened automatically, right? So let's come back to this. I'm going to pause for a quick moment, and we're going to get into some of the interfaces of these devices. Do we got anything in the chat? Excuse me. All right. So managed LAN and managed wireless, right? And then, so I'm about to show you just a couple of the tools that we use to pull this off, right? To accompany our staff, your staff, our engineers, your engineers, and even the other, the CIO or superintendent, right? So, for example, this is an example of a captive portal that the tool produces for the wireless. So you may have multiple wireless solutions. One second. All right, so if you're on Step CG Teams, you need to go to the YouTube link. And I'm going to show, let me see if I can put that on the screen here real quick. Can you give it to me and I can type it in?
Live.kedc.org.
Hold on. We'll just do this. What is it? Live.kedc.org.
Let them know that Clint posted it in the chat. They can click on it.
So it's in the what chat? The Teams chat? All right, so HTTPS, Charles?
No, they just go straight to
All right.
live.kedc.org.
All right. So if you're on Teams, we've got like Inception. We got some on Teams, some on YouTube, and then we got some here in person. We're networking people. We don't claim to be AV people. So if you're on Teams, go to live.kedc.org, and you should be able to see the live YouTube stream. Keep this down here for those that want to watch. All right. So the service is managed LAN and managed wireless. One of the tools that we use for managed wireless is Network Engine. And that's where this captive portal is coming from. And as you can see, it's very customizable, high resolution, very professional, right? Very good outward facing advertising for your school district, right? Could even be school specific, right? So staff and students log in here with their device, and I can have quite a bit of control and visibility of what they're doing with the network engine, right? So this is a box that Step CG will manage. So for example, the wireless network in general should just be a utility like power, right? Earlier on, the kids, hey, you get to pick 2 out of 3. Was it internet, air, or food? Which 2 do you want to pick? A lot of times they're not going to leave internet out. That's going to be one of the ones they pick. So this is an example of my house. as an example, and I can log in, and this is my network utility report. This is the devices that are associated with me, right? So I got my daily traffic, and these are the devices I own, right? So these are my devices associated with me. So I don't care about the devices as much as I care about the user identity, right? We've got to get away from looking at MAC addresses and IP addresses, just too much with everything on the network. So this is my phone, right? So I have all this information. This is like a self-service portal, right? So not only for K through 12, but it's very popular on college campuses, dorms. They can self-service all their devices on Apple TVs and Androids and Chromecast and all that. This is my laptop, right? So these are my devices that are online right now and the devices that are inactive. So I have all, and I can add devices, right? So let's go. Profile is just like my user information, stuff like that. Here's the usage. So, I mean, the network is almost, I mean, it's a utility, right? It should be as common as power, power and plumbing, right? So why don't I just get a network utility bill every month or whatever, right? So this is my personal network utility bill of my devices from my user perspective at home, right? So kind of the places I've been, the top applications. Oh, by the way, these applications are definable. Like you and I could define these applications. So if I wanted to add Pandora, I could add Pandora. If I had some local account or local application I wanted to add, or a cloud application that I wanted to add, I could add that in here based on just a DNS record, right? So it's very powerful. And let's trim this back, right? A lot of Microsoft and YouTube and all sorts of stuff on from my perspective, just my devices, right? And then here's my weekly traffic, right? Just of my, right? So there you go. On Wednesday, my laptop did 78 meg down, while my iPad was not online and my phone was online, right? So this is just one example of my own personal network utility report. And it's just kind of comes with the whole system, which is a little crazy on the amount of information we have, right? So this is the user experience, right? So we would, as a managed wireless, this is just one tool we use. We have a lot of other tools that we use, whether it be our wiki, the knowledge we've gained and share amongst all our engineers as well as our customers. So right, we would come in and get your wireless right, get your wired right, software upgrades, best practices applied, get all that stuff set like we want to, so that we know it's going to work and be reliable, right? So it should be set it and forget it. So that's kind of part of the whole service as well, whereas the network engine is just one tool in the whole service, right? So this is the portal students and staff would log into, and then they have access to this if they want to check out their own experience. So then I'm going to move into the admin interface, right? So this is very much a service where StepCG engineers will manage and operate the whole wired and wireless, and we will manage this tool. And then, any school district that purchases this will have read access into all this information that you're about to see here, right? So imagine if everything talked to everything, right? So this is kind of the landing page. And it's all about having the data easily at your tips, right? We don't want to search through logs and logs of this and that and text files, and also it should be graphical, right? It's kind of what we as human beings gravitate towards, right? So again, this is the admin interface, right? This is not going to relate to the superintendent as much as it will relate to a CIO, a DTC, a network admin, a technician, kind of having some visibility into your network, right? So we get a lot of information here. You get, this is my house, and I'm going to show you a production network in a few minutes, but just as an example, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. But you can see this is live data. There's not much going on. School's out, and I think across most of the state, but there's a lot of information at your fingertips, and we're just only going to be able to touch the tip of the iceberg on this. But in the past hour, there you go, the bedroom Apple TV, 1 gig, somebody's watching TV. There's somebody on the iOS, 175 meg in the past hour, right? So there's my daughter's MacBook. She's in 3rd place. So that's in the past hour. So you have all this information. Imagine it's one database. Imagine if everything talked to everything. You don't have a separate, for this type of solution, you don't have a separate DNS server, a separate DHCP server, a separate radius server, a separate, right? Let your routers route, your switches switch, let your firewalls firewall, and this box can be in the middle to, authenticate an account and provide captive portal and track, help track the users going through and give them a better experience with that captive portal, right? So imagine if you have multiple different wireless models or brands, you put this in front of that wireless and it glues it all together and makes it look the same, right? So the wireless is just in charge of getting the RF rate, and then this box applies the intelligence and glues it all together and makes it look consistent for all the schools. So I just changed it to a week. So this all updates. So there's the living room. There's the living room Apple TV. We're probably watching too much YouTube as a family, but kind of the same deal, right? Everything's on the internet. So have all this information, right? So operating systems, web browsers, and I've got a production. So another good thing is you see this a lot. I would say over the years, BYOD probably broke more networks than any other application for a number of reasons, right? You have to be device agnostic, more identify the user, bringing all these devices on the network. And a lot of times, and still some of the issue is you have, you'll exhaust your DHCP pool, right? And that's not always something you look at real quick, and it can take some time to figure out if you've exhausted that pool. Well, right here, it's just a dial, like 16 leases out of 140. Like I know almost immediately if if I'm getting close on bumping my head, and I can adjust it accordingly, right? A lot of web traffic, right? A lot of YouTube traffic, and this is all looking at it holistically, right? From the global perspective of the box. Let's see here. I might show a few of mine, and then we'll go into the production network, one that's a little bit bigger, more impressive. So, oh, by the way, like you can draw a topology of your network, right? So this is showing kind of the house, the lab in my house, showing how stuff's connected, the forwarding, stuff like that. But you get a diagram of your network, which is very handy. Oh, by the way, here's how the box is connected, and here's the networks behind the box, and have multiple uplinks, do SD-WAN, what links are up, what links are down. That per se doesn't lend itself to CATS or K through 12 per se, but because there's typically one uplink. But just think of it's a graphical interface, right? We're not trying to look at CLI and codes it that much. So you can go wired here. So I can also manage and monitor my switches from here. It's a little crazy, right? So got a VSP A and B, it's up. It's not, I'm not syncing config here, but I can see ports that are up and down on different VSPs. So I get a green, and I could get alert from this box to, again, keep tabs on my network, right? We got to get away from IP addresses and MAC addresses. You got to it's got to be based on username, right? We're really concerned about the user, what they're doing, where they're going, right? So let me see here. Let's see if I can do. Here we go. So this is Gwen. She's in the kids account group, which makes sense. She's in the more internet policy. The post auth, that's the landing page you saw earlier with kind of the network utility report. She gets 100% bandwidth. She gets access to the primary ISP. She's got this device online. Here's her daily traffic. Not much going on. Where she's going. This is like deeper dive network utility report from the admin side. If I need to troubleshoot or handle or take care of it, or that's weird. Why does this person have 10 devices associated with them, right? Or 20? Let's handle that accordingly, right? So I have all this information, right? So let's look at myself real quick. So I don't get more internet. I get most internet. So this policy gets access to the secondary ISP connection, right? And then I have these additional devices that you see here, right? So I'm in this account group and I've got more login sessions, and this is my traffic. So we got it. So again, like I could find my MAC address and IP address, but that's not what I started with. I started with a username, right? Let me see here. So we see these policies, right? So let's just click on this policy. Let's go up here and look at this. So this is a powerful feature. So this box does a lot. Step CG. Number of us engineers have been through quite a bit of training. We've got some labs on this, and it does a lot, right? So we've gone through quite a bit of certification on the solution. So that's why this is one reason we're delivering it as a service, right? To be responsible and maximize all the features and functionality we can get out of it. So this can look like a lot, but your alternative is looking at firewall rules or an Excel spreadsheet or a text file, which is not human friendly. So you can do quite a bit with this network engine, which is just one of the tools we use for managed wireless, right? So if you're a parent in my house, you get most internet, you get this policy, and you get these enforcements, right? So let's, for example, just for example's sake, I put a pets account, right? So Tug gets some internet, and then he gets access to all these enforcements on the right that are highlighted in red. So we give him 2 meg, right? And then let's say if somebody in the some internet policy does 20 megabytes of Netflix in 60 minutes, I'm going to throw you in another group that puts you in Netflix abusers group. I'm going to splash a portal that says do your chores. And I'm saying, guys, that with this box, that is possible.
User question, I want to know, do users have to log into the portal every time they use it?
Nope. So quick question was, do you have to log into this portal every time? No, you have to log in just once for your device, right? So you log in and basically we've registered that device with you, and basically from there it's MAC cache, and that MAC address is associated with that user, right? Now, if they have another device, they could log in with that device as well, or they could go to this portal, right? And if they're savvy enough, look up their MAC address and add it to their account. They're done. So we can limit, like, hey, you're allowed 1 device, 3 devices, 2 devices. You can get pretty crazy with that as well. So those are the 2 ways people can. It's log in once and you're good to go, right? And maybe you flush the database and they have to log in once a year or something like that. Another question? We good? All right, that was a good one. Well, they got to log in. So they're using their AD credentials to log in, the username and password. But they log in once, they're done. And I don't care if they go to another school, if they go from elementary, middle school, high school, board office. Once they're logged in and in the system, they're good to go. They don't log in anymore. Like, they'll always be good to go. Oh, by the way, there's more. We can send this user information via radius accounting to Lightspeed. So then this thing will integrate with Lightspeed, and I can send the username to Lightspeed. And if you want to content filter in Lightspeed on user or AD group, you can do that because this system, we've got it working already to send that information to Lightspeed, right? This stuff, all this networking gear, a lot of it should talk to each other, right? So it integrates with Lightspeed. It'll integrate with other content filters as long as they accept radius accounting, right? Which is pretty nice. So this is where I'm showing the policies, right? I can do crazy stuff. Like if you hit so much Netflix, or maybe we could dream up a policy for online testing or something like that. Or if we need to choke down YouTube the day before Christmas break or the week before last week of school, we could choke that down, right? Pretty easily with these policies and adjusting them. So, and then splashing a portal that says, hey, get back on your test, or no internet right now, we're focused on testing. Yep. So yeah, the question is if it's testing time. Right. So So if it's testing time, can we like lock this down? Yes, right? So based on URL, destination web address, we can lock it down just for testing in certain groups, right? I mean, this is where you can get. I'm a big fan of crawl, walk, run, right? But you can dream up some pretty crafty stuff here. Uh, for example, digital driver's license. Maybe there's a. Let's look at this real quick, right? So maybe we change this to instead of billing, it could be a digital driver's license. And once the person, you click on it, let's change this survey link to a digital driver's license test that they pass. And once they pass, they get moved into another policy and now they get more internet, right? Maybe you get some internet to where you can only do TeacherTube and Wikipedia or whatever, right? And then once you pass your driver's license, digital driver's license will give you more access, right? This is kind of some of the power of the network engine. And again, it's one of the tools for the managed wireless, right? It's capable of manage the LAN as well, but we're starting out with the wireless, using this to manage the wireless only first. Let's look at a production system. This is a solution that, Step CG has been invited. We've been introduced to it. It's kind of passed the smell test for us. We like the capabilities of it, and it runs a lot of BYOD networks, guest networks, hotels, airports, large airports. So this thing scales quite large, well beyond just my little house. But so here's a school district trying it out, right? So I can quickly get this information. So for example, there's a lot of Chromebooks out there, right, that are district owned. They can authenticate to this as well, right? So we can keep track of those here as well. So there's someone's iPhone. You got a lot of information. We want to be user focused, right? Go back to that AAA, authenticate, authorize, and accounting, right? Go back, kind of an example of welcome into my house, welcome into my network. Shake their hand from the front door. You're authorized to go here, here, here. Don't go in the basement, in the bathroom, or bedroom, or whatever. And then accounting, just keeping track, know where they're at. By the way, like kind of a crawl, walk, run thing, maybe kind of a in between walking and running. We can receive information from some wireless solutions, and you can locate these people on a wireless map right within this application, without an app being installed, right? So if you want to take it to that level, you kind of can get that information as well. So this is going to be less impressive today as well since school's out, but this one's got 33 leases used out of 2,000. Let me see if I can show some historical data here. Here we go. So at any moment, typically 1.2 or 1,200 users kind of going through this box, right? You can see Monday through Friday. Must have been off school Friday, and then back in Tuesday, Wednesday, right? So kind of get all this information. Let's go back here. So you get the traffic. Let's see. Let's see how this is going to do. We'll let that crunch the numbers on that. But then you can see all this data. Again, this is the admin backend, right? The amount of traffic, a lot of Facebook. So this is in the past hour, right? Still chewing on updating to a week. Might take a minute. It's a lot of data to crunch, all that client analytics, right? And that's kind of the visibility I was talking to earlier, right? Let's see. Let's go to. So again, this can monitor your network. So let's look at the wired here. So you got a lot of green here. We're not managing devices from here, but we can, right? All the different ports and functions, but we are monitoring, right? So another powerful thing is the alerting, right? So we can send email and text alerts out to, CIO and admin staff if certain links are down or certain things happen, stuff like that, which is very handy, right? So it's about knowing what's going on through the network. All right. If you couldn't tell, I was buying time. Now we're at 1 week. So we have this IP address that we'd have to investigate doing 6 gig in the past week. And then we've got this person doing 2.4. So looks like they may be stuck at the portal and not authenticating themselves. Let's see what kind of information we can gain here. So they're in the introduce yourself, so they get this, right? So basically what I could do is if they've not identified themselves, one, why is there 6 gig? And we can handle this, but this is the active over the past week. But if we have to blacklist that MAC address, we can do that now, right? So I don't have a whole lot of information on this device, but you see what AP, we get to see what AP they've connected to. So that's part of some of the radius accounting and location tracking as well. All right, so let's see here. Let's look at their policy. Let's look at these policies. A bit of an eye chart. So the higher the number, the how you kind of fall through on the left. So this is where it gets technical. So let's see here. So you get the default, you get that pre-auth. That's that splash page you get, and you have to introduce yourself, put your username and password in, AD, put it in once, and then we cache that account, and then you just get onto the internet all the time, right? So these are the district-owned Chromebooks, PCs that kind of go through here, right? So I'm less worried about the username and more worried about the actual device, right? And then you got a faculty and staff, you got IT admins, you got guests. They have all these policies, and it's very easy to, that's where using Step CG engineers to manage, maintain, make adds and changes to this, and provide a service for all you guys. And then here's students, right? So here's a student's example. Do some sort of upper limit of 30 megs. So no one person takes up like 80% of the traffic. 30 meg, make this 50 meg or whatever. Just kind of put an upper limit that they're probably not going to hit. And kind of same deal, like we could implement this Netflix feature if we wanted to as well, and pop different portals. Any questions? We good? All right. Let me see what I got here. All right, we touched on that. We touched on this, that. All right. So that's the network engine, and that's one of the key tools of managed wireless, right? So let me pivot over to managed LAN, right? Managed wired, whether it be VSP, Summit X switches, ERS, Nortel, Enterasys, Avaya, kind of the mainstays of, with the CATS wired, right? So this is a dashboard, and we've got a number of customers using our dashboard. And it's basically our virtual engineer does all the stuff that we don't want to do: backups, logs, how much traffic is doing on what. So we use this primarily on the wired network, right? And we've got a lot of even non-K-12 customers on this. So let's click on the dashboard, right? So real quick, just having a think, we got the network engine, we got the dashboard, we're trying to get to the internet superhighway. So much so I think so many people on the network don't know what's going on in their network or don't know the health of the network. All these networks have a rhythm. They have a heartbeat, and we should know that heartbeat, right? And you would see a rhythm that this would kind of go up on Fridays, or especially during SEC tournament or ACC tournament or NCAA tournament, right? The internet will be higher. So this will alert via Slack or Teams or email of networking gear that goes up and down. We've seen a lot of this monitoring anything with an IP address, typically switches, wireless controllers, UPSs, even servers, anything with an IP address and SNMP, we will monitor in here. So real quick, get a glance. We got 30 devices up, 1 down. So this is not client data. I'm getting data on the network, right? We can look at this one device that's down. Maybe it's been taken out of service or who knows, right? But it's been down for 81 days. got this device, 4950, it's been up for 21 days, right? And we can click on these things, but let's check on a few of these. We got all these devices. Again, anybody who purchases managed LAN would have access to this, view all this information, get alerts, right? We've seen a lot of school districts be surprised that stuff was rebooting that they didn't know about or wasn't on a UPS that they didn't know about. So you have all this information, serial numbers and all in one spot. And I equate this to the dashboard of 1980s, right? On your car, like speedometer, tachometer, and gas gauge. It's not like the big whiz bang dashboard of today's cars with Bluetooth and all that other stuff. Is my network going to get me where I need to go today? So the nice thing about this is a dynamic list of aired ports. So this is always good to know. Like if you have aired ports, like going through and combing through your network and finding this one port, needle in a haystack, but this will tell you where it is already. So for example, in a managed LAN, we would monitor this aired ports and we would either alert the customer and either fix it remotely, especially if it's an uplink and the link or an important link, right? May not fix individual links that go down to a computer, but if it's an important link like a uplink or a server or something like that, then go fix it immediately. A lot of times it's half duplex errors or something like that that can go be adjusted or configured correctly. Again, look at all your processors in one spot, right? High CPU. This goes along with kind of resetting the config on your network, manage LAN, getting the software where we like it, avoiding manufacturer software bugs, getting best practice implemented, getting loop protection implemented, getting alerts set up, and such like that, right? So the network it has a rhythm, but and it shouldn't have a heart attack, right? And that's usually when you loop the network up. These CPUs spike and go high, and then running around chasing loops. But seeing good stats in here from monitoring firewalls and UPSs, and even a little bit of stats from key servers if you want to monitor servers in here, but that's not something we typically do too much. So, but you do get a good feeling of the rhythm of your network. For example, all that stuff that we don't like to do, backing up configs, like that is your insurance. This thing will back up your configs automatically. That is very handy because you don't need them until you need them. And if you don't have them, it's a big pain, right? So it backs them up periodically. And the nice thing is I can look at this and see different versions and see what's different. So I can go back and pull this, right? So this is a tool. This is a key tool for us. And this allows us to pull off this managed LAN, right? This is a tool that helps us allows us to pull off the managed LAN. And this is a tool we've been using with the school districts already. With school districts that have already filed managed LAN and managed wireless in the past, where we use this. And again, it was still category 2 under the MIBS category, MIBS. But now we have an added tool that we wanted to show you guys in the network engine that gives us a lot more features, functionality from those client analytics, the captive portal, improving the user experience, coupled with knowing the config and best practices of wired, wireless, and such. So let me finish off here with back to the PowerPoint. Right, so we talked about Network Engine, one of the tools, along with wiki.stepcg, skill sets, training that we do from time to time, all supported by our NOC in the back end, right, via phone number, email, and online chat coming soon. So what's the price? So we're trying to make it simple. Managed wireless, $8 per student per year. Or if you want to do a 5-year contract, it's $6 per student per year. Pretty straightforward. Managed LAN and or $4 per student per year, or $3 per student per year with a 5-year contract, right? And we have the whole terms and conditions that match USF and E-rate, the 1-year options and all that, right? Matching up with that, right? So we have an E-rate consultant we work with, so we have matched up with all that as well, right? And I've said this in the past, people over technology, I'd rather provide, some engineering services over a bigger, faster box. tweak it a little bit to make it do what it is capable of doing, right? So this is a quick summary, right? No questions yet? All right, well, no more yet. So this 2020 year, kind of like, it's almost kind of like the year between the 2 5 years, kind of a in between. So it's, you know, looking at getting the network healthy in 2020, you know, providing some engineers and a service, managed wireless, managed LAN, introducing you guys to some of these tools that we've been exposed to now and kind of passed the smell test. There's been a number of solutions and manufacturers and tools that we have seen that have not passed kind of our STEP CG labs regimen, if you want to say, right? But there's been a lot of stuff that's not bubble up to the top and made it up. But here's the what, right? We talked about the price. And then this erateprofitworks.com/pound tools. You can look up your bin number and see how much, get a rough estimate of funding available and used, right? So you're welcome to use that as another tool or resource, right? And think about the what if, right? Those policies, the traffic shaping, the user identity, imagine the location tracking. You know, I can do stuff like Netflix is allowed in the gym, but it's not allowed in the cafeteria because, again, you're connected to wireless and you're roaming, and network engine as part of managed wireless knows who is where, right? So you can switch people's policy. There's even an app. We have an app that I can change a person's policy and adjust them from full internet access, say at 50 meg, and I can choke them down to 1 meg in a matter of seconds from an app on my phone. So there's a lot of what ifs, and you know, if everything talked to everything on the network, this is kind of how it should be, right? We don't set our modem baud rate anymore. And I think somehow, some way, we think wireless works like this. It just somehow packets don't crash into each other. But does anybody have anything?
Questions? So if we do managed WLAN, do we get managed LAN too, or is it separate?
It's two separate things. You can get managed LAN or managed wireless, or you can get both. Because it's a lot of best practices and configuration and initial configuration and recovery that we want to do on the wired and the wireless. So that's why there's that.
Next question. So for both, will be $12 per student on the 5-year agreement?
No, that would be, if it was 5 year, it'd be 6 + 3 per student.
Okay. And the last one, is there an out if there is no Cat 2 eligibility? Is there a state law?
Yes. We have standard terms and conditions. I know, you know, we have, whether it's Kyle McGrath or Clint Vaughn, we got Sam Condor sitting here with us, KEDC, that we have standard terms and conditions that we can get out contract for that, for sure. All right. I don't have anything else, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Again, thank you for participating in our web demo of this. My contact information is on the chat window. Feel free to reach out. We'll be archiving this video, and it will be available later on for anybody who wants to see it again. Thank you.